Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for August 2nd, 2021 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Gary Merrill, President of the Board this year. To my left is Vice President Commissioner Lewis, and to my right, fellow Commissioner Jeff Benton, our Administrator, and our Deputy Administrator with us today, Don and Mike Cromer, and of course our clerks. With that, let's begin.
Resolution number 21-682 in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held July 29th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 21-682. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment today, so that brings us to item number 3, resolution number 21-683, in the matter of approving purchase orders and announced certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 0730 and memo transfers in batch number MT APR 0730.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 21-683. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
That brings us to Treasurer Don Ranke Jr. and his presentation on Treasurer's reports.
Yes, we asked Mr. Ranke, our treasurer, to join us today for an update. We were unable to get together last week, so with that, Mr. Ranke.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hope you all had a good weekend. Just want to give you a brief overview of what we've gotten accomplished in the last 5 months. Today starts day 1 of the 6th month, so with that, we'll kind of speed it through. I know, Barb, we had you over a week or so ago for a little bit further. Gary's coming over this week for a little bit further in-depth. So with that, this is Don, by the way. We call her Don Jr.
Hi, my name's Dawn Borchers. I've been with the Treasurer's Office for 20 years, and we've made some improvements to the office. We've added cameras to the front counter. We're going to get glass to put in the front counter, and then a door to where the public can't get back to us. And we've also improved signage, like so people, because nobody could find our drop box outside, so we put a sign out there to make it more visible so people know where to drop their payments after hours and stuff. And just redesigned the office, made upgrades, and anytime you guys want to come over and check it out, we'll gladly give you a tour.
It is. I've been there. It's very nice.
And I've scheduled one, so
Okay, well, come on over and see us.
thank you. Don. Don number 2 or Don number 1? I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
Hello, I'm Jessica Bendel with the Treasurer's Office. I deal with the reconciliation and the settlement of real estate with the Auditor's Office. This year, we just finished our collection and they're getting ready to disperse the funds. Our collection date was July 12th and August the 2nd. Today, they are going to be sending money out to the townships. We collected $660 million this year. Compared to last year, we were at $588 million. So Delaware's growing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
My
morning.
name's
Morning,
Doug Crew with
Doug.
the Delaware County Treasurer's Office. Along with Jeff Jordan, we're kind of heading up the revenue recovery section of the office, working on collection of delinquent taxes. As of February of this year, February 17th, we had about $12.4 million in delinquent taxes with just under 1,400 parcels that were delinquent. Soon after taking office, Treasurer Ranke created the revenue recovery section with the goal of reducing this delinquent tax amount. Happy to report as of July 12th, which was our second half collection date, that number is just over 5.2 million of delinquent taxes and with 731 parcels. So that's a reduction of $7.1 million in less than 5 months of collecting delinquent taxes. Some of the tools that we used were targeted letters to property owners with high delinquency rates, an active outreach by visiting property and property owners to discuss their delinquent taxes. We also did targeted phone calls and emails to parcels that had delinquent taxes. So future plans include partnering with a tax lien vendor, possibly to identify and collect on delinquent taxes, and also to produce and mail out delinquent property taxes in the fall to let property owners know that they still have an outstanding delinquency. Thank you for your time and appreciate your time.
There you go.
Add a little bit,
Need to get closer to the
Yeah, I
mic.
need to get,
Get closer to the mic so you.
there you go.
one tool that we haven't really utilized yet is the foreclosure process. We have,
Did you get introduced or not?
I'm Jeff Jordan.
Okay, for the record.
One item that we haven't really utilized too much yet is the foreclosure process. We've filed 0 so far. Now, disclaimer, the Tyler Lane did ask us to send some upstairs, so he had new staff who learn how to use them. I sent 4, clawed one back when the taxpayer came in that very day. Now, taxis, of course, the tax lien purchaser that was the previous tax lien purchaser for the county, has this year filed 2 in March, 6 in April, 1 in June, one including the one of the April ones was the mall. But as of yet, we've got the results we've got so far without resorting to foreclosure. I sent out a bunch of letters. I sent out probably 120 letters that were a little pointed in that direction. Got responses from all but 23 taxpayers. Got positive responses from almost all of those. We've tried to talk. We've tried to do everything we can to work with everybody. We will work with anybody that will work with us. That's been our philosophy.
And the 23 that didn't respond, I assume there will be a follow-up on those. or-
They're going to get another letter, maybe a little more pointed, maybe even a couple of personal visits. We'll see. We'll see if the letters don't help. The other thing that we are doing that Doug didn't mention is, my mom has 30 acres of cropland still, and it's CAUV reduction. If she misses a half, we lose somewhere in the high 3 figures. In this day and age, we have taxpayers down in the south end of the county. If they miss a half, we're out mid-6 figures. We're monitoring and communicating constantly. If we think we've got a problem with one of those taxpayers, we're in communication, and we're constantly keeping a finger on that pulse. All right?
Great.
Couple questions.
Thank you.
The taxis, how many, are those actual purchases of tax liens? Or are those just things that they've bid on, or?
Commissioner Benton, we did a tax lien sale March 10th of this year, brought in just over $700,000, and those were actual certificates they
Okay.
purchased from our office.
Okay,
And we terminated that agreement.
okay.
It's just not worth it. We had 12.9 million at the time, they came in with 750,000, just wasn't worth our time. Now, we may go out and revisit that with somebody else, but we'll see.
Don, you couldn't be heard back there, so I'm going to ask Doug to repeat it, or,
Yeah.
okay.
I know this stuff like the back of my hand. At this point.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Don Frankie, the county treasurer. Taxis, we ended up terminating the contract. They gave them a 30-day notice. At the time, we had 12.9 million in back delinquencies. They bought just a little bit over 750,000. To me, it just wasn't worth dealing with them any longer. So we gave them a 90-day notice, and they're out. We are interviewing a couple other folks for that, but we'll see how that goes. Right now, Jeff and my good friend Doug are doing such a bang-up job. I'm not sure we need it at this point.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question for Jeff, actually.
Yes,
What
yes,
are you,
yes.
what are you learning from all the correspondence and the collections you've made so far? I mean, big picture, what are you seeing?
It's very hard to say because things are changing. One of the things we did learn just now on this last collection is something that I am still trying to wrap my mind around. We had a huge number of homeowners who either didn't pay second half or didn't pay first or second half of this year, but have $0 prior year delinquency figures.
So let them know what they jumped up from. So we got it all the way down to just a little bit over 5 million. And the day after the tax collection, We had, about 760 properties. The day after, it jumped up to 3,600 properties, went from 5,000,001 or 5,000,002 all the way up to 15.5 or 15.6 million. Problem is the number of properties. And so what we've determined, because Jeff and Doug are studying this stuff every day to be able to have a good answer for me here in a week or so, it looks like the majority of those were not ever late before, and a majority of them are coming from Liberty and Orange townships, and they're residential. Whereas prior to that, they were more commercial. I mean, we had several large hotels pay us because he actually went in, knocked on the door, said, let me talk to your chief financial officer, I'm with the treasurer's office, you need to get us a check today. And they normally, in in a week or so, they did do that. And as you can see I'll get 2 or 3 letters like that a week where they're actually thanking Jeff for doing it. But the concern right now is COVID is, how is COVID affecting the delinquencies? And so to jump from 750 to 3,600 parcels is a big jump. Going from 5 million to 15.5 million may not have been that big of a jump because they're smaller amounts, which before they were more commercial related and so forth and so on. So
I had about 600 properties that looked all to be single-family dwellings, all above $5,000 owed. Your typical home in Liberty Township right now is owing us on a half $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Your typical home, single-family dwelling home in Liberty Township right now is owing us a half $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. They miss a half, that hurts. And if we've got 600 of them, and that's all just the ones above $5,000, there's a number of them, like I say, in Orange Township that are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. A couple hundred more, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I've got to get my finger on the pulse of that as well.
thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep this in 5 minutes.
Rick Carr from the Treasurer's Office. I'll try to get us back on track here, but good questions. We put in some continual improvement processes within the Treasurer's Office. We're working, we obviously worked on the investment advisory services RFP. We've consolidated under Fifth Third. Brian Carter is here from Fifth Third today with us. We've brought in the municipal bond advisor who's working with the Treasurer's Office, as well as the Finance Authority. We put in got a new title search agency for foreclosures started. And then we've got the deposit and banking services RFP, because this is in the final year of the banking depository agreement with the county. So we've got 7 banks that have gone through that process. Really good feedback from the banks, and all of them that submitted RFPs, we're having them back in tomorrow and Wednesday for basically 45-minute presentations, demonstrations to a group from the Treasurer's Office, the Prosecutor's Office, the Auditor's Office, to kind of review, since auditors and treasurers use most of the banking treasury management services, to help evaluate and give feedback that'll come in front of the commissioners down the road here. So we've got that going on. On the investment side, of course, it's a little crazy times economically. I think with inflation continuing to increase and put pressure on the Fed, we're hedging for the increase in interest rates by the Fed in 2022. So I think we've done a good job in positioning the Treasurer's portfolio, the county's portfolio for investments to take into account the current economic status we're in. And one of the things, if you look, Fed 50-50 split for a rate increase next year in 2022, and then also if you take government spending, which is causing, continued drive in inflation, we've got CARES Act, American Rescue Plan, infrastructure, and more coming, so that obviously continues to impact things. Good, we can jump to the next slide. So the investment strategy has largely been to take cash, available cash, and get it invested to yield more than what we would be doing in Star, Ohio, which we've successfully done. We're basically balanced now in cash versus investments. Moving forward, we'll continue to do that. We're utilizing corporate paper and 1 to 2 year securities. We're also, focused on if there are opportunities with DCFA to make investments with to support our local government subdivisions. We can jump to the next slide. And just an example, we did investments in the last 30 days. Delaware County Library, we bought $1 million worth of bonds from the library, which provides us a good return as well. We're just finishing up the ditch bonds with some Delaware, I think the commissioners approved those last meeting. Those are at 1.75%. Pretty good rate of return for the taxpayers as well as for the counties, and those in the program, obviously that's a pretty good rate for them. And there was a available Olentangy school bond we picked up for $500,000. So just a quick idea of what we're doing. You can also see some other local ones of highlights. JP Morgan, $10 million in corporate paper. We bought from them for 270 days at a good yield as well. So and a few others around Ohio, Franklin County, that are providing us a good return for those, either short term or a little bit longer term for that. We'll jump to the next slide. So we've increased, for example, our CP holdings from 10% to 20% of the portfolio. That's 270 days. That gives us at least 2 to 3 times better yield than Star Ohio, and is in the ORC risk that we can make investments. So if we look at our, as I said, 50% cash, Star yields at 7 basis points today. Our laddered investment strategy is putting us at 0.64 or 64 basis points, which is a pretty good return from just staying in a cash position. And our duration is at 1.15 years, which means as interest rates go up, potentially later in 2022, that money's going to be available to reinvest in the higher rate, and that's what that maximizes our potential long-term return, which is what we're trying to do. And if you look at a 5-year Treasury, right now it's at 65 basis points, so we're doing pretty well when you use that as a comparison. And if you look at the 2-year, is at 17 basis points. So when our corporate paper investments are yielding equal to or more than the 2-year Treasury, which is pretty good, I think, return for us. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the next slide in essence of time and yield some time to Dave Stage with the DCFA.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Good morning, Commissioners. I've been asked to fill in for Tyler Lane, who couldn't make it today. So, Mr. Chair, with your permission, Dave Stage with the Delaware County Finance Authority. I wanted to give you a quick update on the investment bond program that the Treasurer's Office has been implementing. To date, we've received 4 term sheets, 3 of them from Liberty Township. The Fire Department is currently requesting $5 million. The Roads Department for their storage building and barn is requesting $1.75 million. And they're requesting $2.3 million for a new admin building for a total of $9.045 million for Liberty Township. In addition, we have a request from Tri-Fire for $4 million to rebuild or to build a new fire station to replace the one that's located at the point. Anticipating if these don't change, we'll be getting a more in-depth credit report on these 4 requests, and then we'll be convening the advisory committee to review those requests. The advisory committee consists of Steve Kuckler, Treasurer Ranke, Auditor Keitza, Prosecutor Schiffel, Bob Lamb is a citizen member, Barb Lewis is representing the commissioners, and I'm on representing the Delaware County Finance Authority. So, any questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just finish up real quickly. we will head down the road of the Smart Development Growth Fund. We had set aside, I had set aside $20 million for the municipal bond program, and at some point we'll, in the next 3, 4, 5 months, look at the Smart Development Growth Bond funds. So we'll have a total of $40 million. So I guess what we take away from today is the biggest thing is that we've collected about $666 million in real estate taxes this year versus $588 from last year, and we've been able to reduce the delinquency on the delinquent tax by $8 or $9 million, although it's grown. So the takeaway is there's a lot more cash to invest, so it was probably the very best time that we could have ever kicked off the program where we hired our chief investment officer, which is Rick. But I will tell you, probably my favorite part about the job, without a doubt, is being able to work with the local municipalities to sit at Tri-Township Fire Department the other day, which when you go in there, I don't think that building's, I think that building's from the 1940s, I think, maybe the early 50s, and it just makes you really feel great to be able to, at this point, be able to help the townships and the municipalities in rebuilding their fire departments to be able to provide more efficient services to the county through the township. So that's probably the best part of my job so far. I'm sure there'll be a few others in the next 4 years. Anyways, thanks for having us.
Thank
Mr. Randy.
you, thank you.
Any questions or comments? I'd just like to say, I very much appreciate the presentation, and perhaps it's something we could do every 6 months.
That'd be fine.
Okay, so let's just kind of assume and plan on that, and thank you everyone for coming in, and very much appreciated. Thanks for the update.
Thursday.
I'm sorry?
See you Thursday.
I didn't hear you, Don.
See you Thursday.
See you Thursday.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Thank you for coming.
It's hard to hear that mic sometimes.
I know it is,
And
that's
I'm not
why.
sure- It's kind of hard to hear from that mic sometimes up here, at least for me. Barbara said the
Yeah,
same.
that's
think
because
John
it
Melvin
comes.
is working on it.
I've talked to John Melvin about it.
Okay.
He's gonna get a sound person.
Okay.
Yeah, it is hard to hear.
Anyway, an observation,
Yeah,
and not to mention the glare sitting here.
yeah.
With that, I've very much appreciated the presentation. I thought it was very helpful. And with that, let's move forward.
Resolution number 21-684, in the matter of approving a project agreement with the Delaware County TID for the Home Road and Sawmill Parkway improvements.
So move.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. This is a project agreement involving the Home Road and Sawmill Parkway project. You may recall we are working towards implementing some of the necessary traffic upgrades that are needed for the OSU Powell Ambulatory Care Center that is scheduled to come within a few years at least. So this project will implement some of those traffic improvements, really all of those traffic improvements that are needed to support that. And so basically we will be depositing about $3.2 million with the TID. The TID will go out to bid probably here next week. We'll advertise for bids and then award a contract in September for that work. Should have the project wrapped up by next summer, and should make some nice improvements at that intersection, as well as another nice benefit, connecting the shared use path that is at Sawmill Parkway near the high school, connecting that over the new railroad bridge, or not new anymore, still new to me, but the railroad bridge that was built about 10 years ago, connecting to Liberty Park. And so that'll be a nice amenity for area residents as well as the Olentangy schools.
What exactly, what kind of work is being done in that area? I know you're adding turn lanes, I think, on Sawmill Parkway.
Yes, Commissioner, that's correct. We will add turn lanes going northbound on Sawmill Parkway, so an additional left turn lane as well as a right turn lane. We will add through lanes on home roads, so there will be 2 lanes going through the intersection in each direction We will add 2 new traffic signals, one on Sawmill Parkway just north of home. Currently, there's a right-in, right-out intersection. I believe it's Castle Blaney. That will be a new fully signalized intersection. And then to the east of the intersection is Tullamore Drive. That will also be signalized as well. So new signals, new turn lanes, also, turn lanes, adding right turn lanes at Liberty Road and Home Road. So kind of some ancillary improvements around the area, just wrapping up some things that will help traffic flow better in that area.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-684, Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-685, in the matter of approving a professional services agreement with E.L. Robinson Engineering for the project known as Dell SR 3-4.60 State Route 3 at Lewis Center Road.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
So we are asking for your approval to go into contract with E.L. Robinson. We selected E.L. Robinson through a qualification-based selection process. This is a project we are working to advance to basically set up for a future traffic signal at this intersection. The work under this design contract will include the turn lanes at the intersections. There will be left and right turn lanes approaching this intersection from each direction. The traffic signal is not quite warranted just yet, but very likely will be within the next few years given the population growth in that area. And so probably by the time we actually build this, 2023, 2024 is when we're planning on going to construction on this project. So either at that time or shortly thereafter, we would anticipate a traffic signal. So
Just a quick comment on that. I have heard from the pastor at Pastor Frank at Genoa Baptist, and he talked to me several years ago about the importance of having a signal there. So he's going to be very happy.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-685, Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Resolution number 21-686, in the matter of approving a professional services agreement with EMH&T for the project known as the 2021 Traffic and Signal Coordination.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
So we would like your approval to do some work with EMH&T on optimizing our traffic signal sequencing on both Sawmill Parkway and on South Old State Road. In today's day and age of smartphones and smart homes and smart light bulbs, we also have smart traffic signals, and so those do need some work to get those fully optimized. Bless you. For traffic flow. And so that's basically what the consultant will do, basically running a traffic model, coming up with an optimized timing and sequence plan for both of those corridors.
Are other roads sequenced now, like 23 and I take it?
Yes, Route 23 is sequenced. That is maintained by ODOT.
Okay.
There are various different levels of smart technology and traffic signals. That one actually is kind of at the higher end, believe it or not. As many traffic signals as there are, I drive that all the time. It's actually surprising how few red lights you get. If you're following traffic, generally speaking, you can get through there, although it seems like you're hitting a lot of red lights. It's not random. Those are sequenced both in an AM, primarily southbound direction to support the AM commute, and then in a PM northbound direction to support that movement. So, yes, long answer to your short question, but yes.
No, that's interesting. Okay.
Along that line, a personal story, before COVID, I used to go to movies. I could catch a movie with my son down there at the 23 and 270. Literally, I could get all the way up to door knock and never hit a red light. So if you drive the right speed and time it properly. So that's the sequencing seemed to work through there.
Are there other corridors that could be added, that you could add this sequencing to?
Yes,
That are county controlled?
Yes, sir. So we will be looking at Home Road in the future as we add more traffic signals. Currently, we just have the signals at I guess, Holman Sawmill. We will have the new one just east of Sawmill. Those will be, they will be sequenced, but not to the full extent that you see on like Route 23. So the answer is yes, we will continue looking at some more corridors. That's really the only corridors at the county level.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-686. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-687, in the matter of awarding the bid and approving a contract between the Delaware County Commissioners and Strasser Paving Company for CR 9-00 Liberty Road improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
We received some very good bids for this project. This will involve a new single-lane modern roundabout at the Liberty Road and Salisbury Drive intersection, just north of the Franklin County line. The low bid was from Strasser Paving Company, who's done some other roundabouts for us and really have done an excellent job in the past, and so we're very glad to see them being the low bidder. Their bid was more than 20% below the engineer's estimate for this project, so we're very glad to see that. The work on this is planned to start in September. Should be about 6 weeks to complete the project, 6 to 8 weeks. And then again, with the roundabout, no traffic signals to worry about there, but we'll have really a nice alternative for some of the neighborhoods that currently have to turn left out to Liberty Road. Makes a very difficult left turn. This will allow them to actually turn right, go up and do a U-turn, and then proceed southbound if they're heading towards Franklin County. So very glad to move this one ahead.
Any other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-687. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-688, in the matter of approving an owner's agreement for Clark Shar Mower, Section 5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
This is our, excuse me, typical owner's agreement for the street and stormwater improvements. Clark Shaw Moore, Section 5 is located in Concord Township, includes 34 single-family lots, and recommending approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-688. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-689, in the matter of approving a supplemental appropriation for roads and bridges projects.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
So we are requesting a supplemental appropriation for one particular project. This is the Home Road widening project from Perry Road to US 23. Sent you some information last week. Basically, our contractor is doing a fantastic job of advancing that project a lot quicker than what we expected. We anticipated only getting through about 10 to 20% of the project this year. In fact, they'll be able to finish that project entirely this year, or substantially. There may be some cleanup work in the spring, but so basically this supplemental appropriation we're requesting is essentially advancing funds we had planned to budget next year for completion of that project, just moving that up to this fall so we can get that project done.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-689. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's an administrator
I
report.
have nothing to report today.
Commissioner Lewis.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Benton.
Nothing else?
Wow. The only thing I have is I attended the ribbon cutting yesterday at Deer Haven Park. Impressive what they've done back in that park. We've driven back in there, and there must have been at least 150.
Aviary.
Yeah, they got 3.
Some hawks and owls and so on.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
wow.
really, they had 3 different birds, 2 different kinds of hawks, and a vulture. It was pretty neat. I had to be at least 150 people there, maybe 200. I'm not really good on estimating crowd sizes, but it was well attended. With that, I have nothing else, but I do believe we have a need for executive.
We do. Resolution number 21-690, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of appointment, employment, and compensation of a public employee or public official, and for pending or imminent litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 21-690. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
With that, we are now in executive session.